We have another compound interest problem. Suppose that $31,100 is invested in a certificate of deposit for 5 years at 9.3% annual interest to be compounded semi-annually. How much interest will this investment earn? Round your answer to the nearest cent. If necessary, note that 365 days is what we're counting as a year, and 30 days is what we're counting as 1 month. The 365 and the 30 are not necessarily for this problem. They're just being clear. They put that on all of these compound interest problems. All right, so to be able to do this, we need to see our compound interest formula, which is different than our simple interest formula. And we need that coding of these words. In this case, what does semi-annually mean? So I am going to turn our page and ask you to write this information down. Our compound interest formula is the amount equals P times the quantity 1 plus the rate, that's your percent, over the number of times that is compounded per year, raised to the number of times it's compounded per year times the number of years. Now we also have these words that mean different amounts per year. So I'm going to ask you to pause right here and write this information down, not just for this problem, but for the other compound interest problems you will be working on. Okay, so we have our information written down, our compound formula, and I made a note of what all those words mean off on the side. So let's pull our specific information out. It is a good idea anytime you're using a formula to write down all the letters represented in the formula. Then you know what to look for and account for every value. A is the total amount after so many years. We don't know that yet. That's what we're finding. P is the principal. That's the amount we have invested. In this case, our principal is $31,100. Rate, again, rate is your percent. So we are earning 9.3%. But when you use percents in math, you change them to their decimal form. This one does have a decimal showing. To change it, you move it to the left 2 places. So one place just goes around that 9. The second place, then, I need to insert a 0 to hold. So our percent, our interest rate, is 0.93. The number of times in 1 year. This is where we look for the word compounded semi-annually. So that is classified right here. Semi-annually means twice a year. And then how many years are we holding this deposit? 5 years. We put a 5 here. I have all my parts. I'm finding the amount for now. And so I will plug all this in. The amount is going to be equal to my principal, $31,100. I'm leaving the comma out because I don't want my brain to later think I'm looking at a decimal and mess things up. Times the quantity 1 plus the rate, 0.93, divided by the number of times per year, 2, raised to the number of times per year times the number of years. All right, so we have a problem. All we need to do now is follow our order of operations to simplify this. That will give us the total amount. We are not being asked for the total amount. We are being asked for interest. But to find the total interest, we need to find the amount and then do some work on it. So order of operations. Our order of operations says we will first do what is inside the parentheses. copy everything else down, and simply work inside. I don't know off the top of my head what 0.093 over 2 is, so I'm going to bring up that calculator. Top, divide, bottom. This is a terminating decimal. That means I don't have to save this answer in my calculator, but it makes my life easier. I'm going to rewrite that middle part as 1 plus 0.0465. But I've saved it in my calculator. My next step in order of operations is then to take that answer and add 1 to it. So with that answer still in there, add 1. Rewriting my equation, 31100 times 1.0465 raised to the 2 times 5 power. Everything inside my parentheses is done. That means I move on to the exponent. 2 times 5 is 10. If I was going to use my calculator for that, I would now need to clear this. I am not multiplying this times 2 times 5. So clear, and then 2 times 5. I've got this new version. Now it is time to raise what's in there to a power. So I'm going to input 1.0465. On this calculator, if I want to raise it to something other than the second power, I click the X to the Y button. Notice there's a caret there. That's a symbol for raising to a power, and I'm going to raise it to the 10th power. Big long number. For my records, I'm going to go ahead and write 1.5754 and then some dots to say that this keeps on going. I'm not rounding that. Write down my 31,100. Keep that crazy long number in there. When we round before our problem is finished, if we rounded every number that needed rounding before our problem was finished, our answer would be off by a little bit by the end. So we don't round until the end. So I'm keeping this long thing in there. And order of operations, this says multiply. So I'm going to put times 31100. This is our final answer for the amount. It's not the final answer for the question. So my amount, and they have been telling us to answer round to the cent. So now it's time to round. 48995 point. The cent is 2 places after the decimal. So the 0 is the second place after the decimal here. To round it, I look to the right. And if this number is 5 or higher, I would add 1 to this number and then drop everything. If this number is less than 5, I would add nothing here, but still drop everything. 7 is more than 5, so I add 1. So I'm going to have 48995.11. Okay, so we have found the total amount of this investment after 5 years. Again, we were not asked for the total amount. We were asked for the interest. So enter a new formula. Interest is equal to the total amount minus the amount you put in the first place. So the amount minus the principal. So my interest equals that 48995.11 minus, I'm going to scroll back up and look at my original principal, which is 31,100. Wow, crazy one. 31,100. $48995.11 minus 31,100. 100. And we get the interest earned over 5 years, disappeared before I could look, $17,895.11. So your compound interest problems in this section, be careful. Make sure you're reading one is actually asking for the amount, or is it asking for the interest. If it's asking for interest, you will find the amount and then subtract the original principal from that amount to find your interest.